Bro, 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 bro. All right, this is gonna be a recap of Monday, August 4th, 2025. Tape reading, if you will. Um, coming into the day, I saw a lot of people were still pretty bearish on this chart, which to me, I ain't rock with that. I was bullish today. So coming in the day, let's just talk about what we got, right? We had this huge retracement move, obviously, right? I think uh, by the end of the week, I think we're gonna be, or at least sometime during this week, I think there's a good chance we're trading at all-time highs. Because basically what we had done is on the 4 hour, we basically just put in this model in 1 hour, put in a nice time-based model, right? And very sharp, very fast and efficient move all the way up, um, or all the way down. So we pretty much had a really nice model, right? We had time-based liquidity swept, especially up here, right here. Basically just got a solid higher time frame sell model, right? This was sell side of the curve. Where did we come to? We come to the consolidation. This normally marks the end. All these stacked lows down here, these lows, these lows, these lows, these daily lows, right? Um, all stacked together from this consolidated, this consolidation, right? We come down and sweep them all, right? After we get this model, this higher time frame, time based model right here. Then what do we do here? We sweep this 1 hour low, sweeping this right here. ES, same shit right here. And then on ES, it looks a bit better, but we get a unicorn model on the 1 hour. If we want to use our standard deviation, we could, project all the way up here, right? But just understanding, on the 4 hour, we came down and swept all like these consolidated lows, right? Um, there's a potential that we do reverse, right? And with this sharp of a move back up, looking pretty good, right? Normally, when we're shooting down this hard, uh, your retracel for a continuation down isn't going to be this sharp and fast of a move back up, especially for a no news Monday. Even though today, actually, the range, in my opinion, wasn't too good. I'll talk about that later. But, anyways, that was kind of like the narrative going into the day. We also are still, look at this trend, right? Order flow. Obviously, we had a model sell us down here, right? But now we're getting a model back up. So I'm just playing what's in front of me and what I got for right now. Shit, my mic was fucking far as fuck. I hope you guys heard that. That was the context, going into this. Anyways, so coming into the day, right, we're seeing this unicorn model right here. We're breaking up over this little spot right here, holding this area, pop up, right, continuing, maintaining or bullish order flow. Sorry, right, pop into this 1 hour fair value gap and pop back up right into open, right. So I have this, London session high from Friday marked out in this Asian session high, Asia session. Jeez, I might have been racist. I don't know. But anyways, the major highs, buy side liquidity, that's in our way right now. That we're likely, I think, to hit today, right? And basically right in the market open, we didn't have anything. We literally had the thing is, we actually had like no models, not even 5 minute wise, really, not even 15 minute. We just had this 1 hour model, right, with a no news Monday. So we didn't have anything close to propel us, no liquidity sweeps to give us that energy we need to pop up, right? So coming into open, we're just ripping, right? Um, the last model we have is from down here, right? Right here, I'd say. So the last sell side swept was all the way down here. So I'm like, we're just extending up out here, right? So um, we're extending. We don't have any retracals or good entries to get in, especially right here. There's really nothing, right? I do manage to get in actually on a smaller model, I believe, right in here, like a smaller 30-second model. I get in like right about here. Um, as you can see, this low gets protected, and that's what I was going for the whole day. But I'm in on NQ because NQ was, the first one to take London session highs, right? So I get in right here. Then I put my stops to break even because we've already hit about almost a 2R, but man, it's hard, because I don't have enough contracts to really scale. But anyways, I was just kind of off the mark on that one, right? Because we would have came down anyway and swept this low. So I would have got stops in the first place. Good thing I put my stops break even. Right? But ES, this holds the whole time. Now, the reason why I like ES actually better in hindsight, right? I played NQ as NQ was the first one, to come take London highs. It was kind of pushing more. Even though ES, honestly, candle wise, maybe like looking a bit, honestly, looking very similar coming into this, right? But anyways, NQ is just extending, and right here we're in no man's land, right? There's no sell side liquidity, there's no buy side liquidity for a while, right? We're kind of in no man's land, right? We haven't had a sell side sweep in a while, right? We're kind of just extended up here in no man's land. ES, we have just swept this London high, right? What do we do on this model right here? We come back to retest this high now as support. So we have some higher time frame confluence, right? We've sold right here off of it one time. Right now we're coming back up, selling back down, sweeping this low, and bouncing with a nice model, right? So now we have a higher time frame um, confluence PD array, whatever you want to call it, right? In conjunction with this model. Now NQ, we just have a model kind of just out there in no man's land. As well as you can tell on ES, actually, even though it's the weaker side of the SMT, from right here, right? We have this nice little low sweep right here as well. These candles close much higher over here, right? Stronger candles, right? So the model overall is kind of stronger on ES as well, as you can see. So, but I did like this. I took this on NQ, and we got stopped out. If I would have taken it on ES, as ES had, this higher time frame confluence, right? We had, this would be like if NQ came back and was doing this in like a 1 hour fair value gap, right? Retraced down to a 1 hour fair value gap or something like that, or a 15-minute or or like a first presented, fair value gap, something, of importance on the higher time frame for the day, you know. But ES did this and it held. So sadly we got stopped out on that, but ES held and it did eventually come up and hit this high. Eventually, obviously you would have had, if you're trading prop firms like I am, you would have to get out at the very end of the day. But your risk to reward still would have been something along the lines of whatever. I'm just gonna leave that there. Pretty solid. You would have ended the day around like a 3. Not bad. Not bad at all. Sit through all of this, but you just leave the trade run. Um, I had this, yeah. Very unfortunate. Um, Sucks that that couldn't work, but we just didn't have it's no news Monday, right? Um, and we just hadn't had any sell side swept in a while, so we were kind of in a rough spot after this first candle up, right? We were kind of due for a retracel or just kind of just a slow grind up, which is just lower probability conditions, and you got to realize that. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where we messed up today. But that was like my thesis, my thoughts coming into the day, and how we played it. I liked that trade, but and we were on the stronger side of the SMT. But once again, we're just kind of in no man's land, extended too far up, right? Just trying to. I mean, yeah, there's nothing you can really. We're just. I mean, let me just check some stuff right here. I mean, yeah, in this fair value gap. I mean, but you don't really got to care too much about that. Yeah, it's just really in a place where we are just a bit extended and we didn't have the liquidity. Yes, had at least some higher time frame confluence, going into it. 15-minute, it's bouncing back, holding this fair value gap completely with its bodies and all of that. So yeah, it worked on ES, didn't on NQ. Very unfortunate, but coming in tomorrow, same thing. But really big thing from the day, because I saw a lot of people still being, trying to be short just because of this trend, right? Just because of this move. That is really just not how the market works always. You got to use order flow in conjunction with, what's the price doing on the chart? Where's the price? What have we just done? What, liquidity have we taken and all that in terms of models and all that good stuff, right? Order flow for me is second. Time-based liquidity, where we're delivering from, that is the most important thing for me. Um, so yeah, as you can see though, that is it for the day, boys.